Welcome to The Challenges of Change, the podcast where we explore the transformative journey towards self-improvement and personal growth. I'm your host, Laura, a mindset coach in the health and fitness industry, here to guide you through the hurdles that life throws at you. In each episode, we'll delve into practical strategies and insightful discussions to help you manage stress, regulate your emotions, upgrade your mindset, and ultimately reclaim your sense of worth. I'm thrilled to have you join me on this journey of change, challenges, and self-discovery. And we are back for another episode of The Challenges of Change. And today I kind of want to take things apart and put them back together. So let's do that together. Specifically, what I'm thinking about is what it means to take care of our mind and what it means to have a healthy mind. You know, we talk about mental health, and people's understanding of that is different, and everyone experiences it slightly different. And I think what's challenging for it is we don't have the same type of metrics like we might for our physical health, like blood sugar, heart rate, blood pressure, etc. Like we can look at these biometric results and say, this is what a healthy body does and this is what an unhealthy body does. But with mental health, it's more experiential. What I have learned that transformed my whole perspective around mental health and our mind in general is how much we don't understand our mind. I actually said this at a conference I was at last week. It's fascinating to me that we're never taught about the vessel that we inhabit that then takes us for the rest of our life. And I mean, I could argue that's probably by design, but more so with AI coming out, with social media being as addicting as it is, we are becoming more and more and more impulsive to our immediate wants rather than having any conscious sense of leadership in our own mind to discern where we invest our time and energy and where we don't. And a lot of it is us being a victim to our own tendencies and not recognizing how to lead our mindset. And honestly, I don't blame anyone, because if I hadn't become a coach, I wouldn't have learned that. I wouldn't have understood that. But what's funny is when I talk to a lot of my clients about stress release and work-life balance, more often than not, when I ask them, what do you do to decompress? They tell me about watching TV and scrolling. They go to a screen and they numb. And so do I sometimes. So I'm with them. And that's numbing, not decompressing. It's saying, I don't want to feel anything else. I don't want to experience this stuff anymore. And this isn't consciously stuff that we're thinking per se, but the message we're sending is decompression is no more in, not necessarily help relieve or process what's already come in. And there's a very distinct difference in how we experience it, but also how our nervous system and our somatic body experiences it. For instance, during COVID, I got this animal swear word coloring book because why not? It was fucking COVID. And I still have it, but I didn't use it for 3 or 4 years. And now it sits right next to where I am on the couch, because the other component is that's the only time I have with my husband. I want to be present with him, but he doesn't always want to talk and I don't always want to talk. So we'll have the TV or podcast or music on in the background, but then we'll read or we'll color. And what's funny is when I do this with my clients, I'm like, what did you do when you were a child, before screens, before TV, that you did to enjoy yourself in mundane ways? That was not a screen related thing. You'll hear about people playing with their friends or reading or putting together puzzles or any type of creative outlet. And it's we've forgot that the purpose of those things was actually to calm our nervous system. And what it highlights is we don't really know how to take care of our mind. What does mental health mean? That's going to be a very different equation for everyone. But I think the better question isn't necessarily what does mental health mean, but how do you care for your individual mind? How much scrolling can you tolerate, or are you willing to tolerate more than can tolerate, that aligns with how you want to experience your life? How much discomfort do you need to include in your life purposefully to actually experience your life the way you want to? And that's such a ick comment and thought for so many people because most of us don't want to feel uncomfortable. But there's a value in our own discomfort. If you remember, dopamine is a pain pleasure balancing system. Part of the reason why numbing on screens is detrimental to our well being is because we then have to have a pain, and we experience that through numbness, loneliness, or boredom typically to rebalance the dopamine. So, discomfort is part of the chemical makeup that makes us human. And whether we want it or not, we are going to experience it. Because if you want to have pleasure, which is from dopamine, you're going to have pain. So rather than trying to avoid pain, maybe it's about shifting our perspectives to understand what type of pain is actually valuable and purposeful. For instance, working out is a type of pain, being disciplined, type of pain, meditating for a lot of people is a type of pain because sitting in stillness is uncomfortable. So when I say pain, I don't mean like you have a broken bone and you go for a run anyways. No. If you have physical ailments, definitely go to the doctor. But I'm talking from a space of how do you feed your mind? How do you clear it? How do you train it? How do you care for it? And then the harsh truth about it is you can't really know unless you try. We don't like to see this, but when we try all these different things, whether that's a diet or a new organizational system or a new way of running business or a new career development path, whatever we're trying, eventually you'll hear people say, like, I just had to try until I figured out what worked for me. Or like, this was my special sauce. That's because they tried all the other things and they didn't work, not because they had some brilliant insight going into it, like, aha, this is going to be the fastest and most efficient way. We learn by trial and error. So when it comes to caring for your mind, look at how you're currently not caring for your mind. How do you currently engage with yourself in your world that isn't supportive of how you want to experience your life? How would you want to treat yourself instead? And I understand that you might have the awareness of what differences you want to make and still feel like you don't have the space to do it. And that's okay. Hey guys, it's me. I just want to pause you for a brief moment because there's something important that I think you need to know about. So often when I'm in sessions, I hear people talking about how lonely they are, how anxious they are, and we really do need each other. And I've seen through a lot of my corporate work the power of growing and evolving together. So I am super excited to announce that I have launched my community, the Challengers Circle, where you get to come in, become a challenger, connect with other people going on personal growth journeys, understand what the circumstances are like, share your challenges, and see how similar we all are. And there are so many resources in there to help you, from a personal coach to guide you through it, different chat rooms to share experience, different labs where you can literally practice boundary setting, practice saying no, practice regulating your nervous system. Whatever it is that your challenge is, we have created such an in-depth platform that can really, really help you create the change you want to see, because it's not just about the information. It's not just about knowing. It's about the ability to apply. And because we believe in this so wholeheartedly, we are giving anyone who joins a full free month of everything that we offer with the personal guidance of a coach to make sure you are supported, you are accountable, and you are being guided through. And after those 30 days, you can decide which level works for you. If you want to stay in the free level, that is perfect. We want to see what you use. And between now and the end of the year, if you do decide that one of the paid tiers is what's best for you, we are offering $100 off to anyone who joins before 2026. So if you are ready to accept the challenge, truly enact the change that you've always craved in your life, now is the time, and we have created the zone, the arena for you. It's time to come home to yourself, and that is what the Challenger Circle stands for. Because caring for your mind isn't trying to judge yourself into submission. It's having the awareness and being loving and caring and patient with yourself to build those skills and build those habits, because we don't change overnight. That's just not the creatures we are. So I really want you to just pause and think about how you care for your mind, what habits you have that actually feel like you're nourishing your mind versus just noticing what doesn't. Because we're very good at noticing what we don't want, but we're not very good at recognizing what we want more of. So I came up with a little list I'm going to share with you of a few things you can consider when it comes to how you want to feed your mind, how you want to clear your mind, as in decompress, and how you want to train your mind. And I'm going to come back to the training of your mind after I tell you everything. So you can feed your mind by reading a book, listening to a podcast, not while you multitask or like are on a screen. Like if you're washing dishes and listening to a podcast, or folding laundry and listening to a podcast, fine. But if you want to be taking in the content, thus the feeding of the mind. You can listen to inspiring music. You can travel and see new cultures, experience life. I know you can literally feed your mind by experiencing life, which goes to the question, are you actually experiencing it in real time, or are you trying to predict what happens next? It speaks to presence and observation versus fear and urgency. So think about that one. And my favorite way to feed your mind is having deep conversations. I'm already known as the person who's going to trap you into some deep conversation. And it's funny, I'll try not to, and somehow it still ends up there. I don't know what it is. I've just accepted it at this point. But I love having deep conversations because I get to resonate with another human being and understand them. And whether I agree or disagree, that moment of connection is valuable. So feeding your mind. Clearing your mind, you can journal. And a lot of people feel like there's a right way to journal. Just put a pen to paper, start writing, and see what happens. Like there's not a right or a wrong, just practicing the habit for a couple months, you'll actually start to see a difference. It took me a while to figure that one out too, but I encourage you to try it. So journaling, exercising, obviously. You can clear your mind by going to therapy or having a coach. Crying it out. Tears are signs of strength, not signs of weaknesses. It's just energy leaving the body, kind of like a fart, but from a different place. We don't feel ashamed about our farts. We might hide them because we don't want to stink up the room, but we feel ashamed about our tears, and we really shouldn't. When you understand the biochemical like mechanism and intent of them, it feels really silly actually be like, I shouldn't cry. Like, no, it's very normal, very healthy. You can clear your mind by calling a friend or doing a breath work practice. The third category is training your mind. So before I tell you like the list that I came up with, what I like about this pillar is we often don't think about training our mind. But I recently had a conversation with a friend about how the challenges of our childhood actually created the skills that we're proud of today. And it's very easy to look at our past and wish things would have been easier, wish we would have been loved more, wish we would have been cared for more. And for a lot of people, that's true. And despite that, what you got and how you learned to navigate that, that was the training ground for your mind. That built the characteristics that you walk on today. For instance, some of my favorite characteristics that were built through challenging times or rough and tumbling training grounds include speaking up for people, advocating for injustices. I have a really strong confidence in my ability to communicate through conflict. I am fierce, and I know that because I've experienced it. So it's given me a lot of confidence in my own ability to have my own back because I've had to navigate challenging circumstances. So we don't train our mind through ease and comfort. You can't go on Instagram, scroll and like see, ooh, this is smart, and like read it twice and think it's going to integrate. That's not how training ground works. We need experience. Like if you think about exercising, yes, visualization has an impact. And until you integrate it in the body, you're not going to truly get the results you want. The same thing is with your mind. So training your mind is really important, and it's a great decompression tool too. So you can meditate, and that can look like a million different things. That can look like going for a walk without your devices and just observing nature. That can look like watching a flame or feeling your body in water for prolonged point of time. Like everyone thinks meditation is this like Buddha sitting centered, but really the point of meditation is to watch your mind get distracted and bring it back home. Watch it get distracted and bring it back home. It's not about whether you do or don't get distracted. It's about building the awareness and the skill to recognize when you are distracted. Get creative. That can look like reorganizing. That can look like cleaning. That can look like any, artistic anything. It can be a puzzle. It can be how you think about things. It can be how you put a spreadsheet together. There's so many ways to get creative. Practice discipline. This is a huge one when it comes to training your mind because it builds a lot of self-trust. And one of my favorite sayings is that self-discipline is self-love. And it's true when you understand why you're disciplining yourself. If you're disciplining yourself through shame, you're probably not going to have a good outcome. But if you're doing it for the right reasons, because it's who you want to become, because you want to nourish yourself, because you want to invest in yourself, because you want to have a healthy mind, that type of motivation is what will move the needle forward. You can practice building new habits, which means trial and error and learning, right? You can unlearn bad habits. What's the trigger for this habit? How do I prevent that? How can I prepare my environment to create a more flow in how I want to experience things? Or one of my favorites is learn to say no. There are some clients of mine that will do a role-playing exercise. The whole purpose of it is for me to get them to say no and for them to recognize what comes up in their body and for them to understand how to strengthen that skill. But regardless of what you do, no one's going to take care of your mind no one's going to take care of your mind, period. You are responsible for taking care of your mind. You are responsible for taking care of your mental health. We can always look at the external world and there will always be problems with it, sadly. But we can't change the reality we live in. What we can change is how we think about the reality, how we experience ourselves, how we experience our reality, what we allow to ruin our days. And we have so much agency to build ourselves up, but we can't be numb to the world we're in. And that's where caring for your mind is the best proactive step that you can take for, honestly, a fulfilling and happy life. But that is all I have for you today. Thank you, as always, for listening. If this resonated with you, or if you feel like it was a shift from mental health to caring for your mind, share it with a friend, comment below, let me know what you liked. As always, I appreciate you guys for listening, and I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of The Challenges of Change. If you're ready to stop stressing and reclaim your sense of worth, be sure to visit my website at www.changebychallenge.com. There, you'll find loads of resources, blog posts, and information on how to work with me, Tora, as your personal mindset coach. Remember, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Don't let burnout or any other obstacle hold you back from living your best life. Take the first steps towards positive transformation today. Thank you again for listening. Stay confident, stay inspired, and embrace the challenges of change. Until next time.